Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I am Barry P. Cook, and I'm here with a review of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Episode 9, Terra Firma, Part 1. And it's a pretty simple synopsis this week. The crew of the Discovery journeys to a mysterious planet in hopes of finding a cure for Georgiou's deteriorating condition. Meanwhile, Stamets and Adira make a stunning breakthrough with the newly acquired burn data. That's pretty much the synopsis. Let's get into my impressions of the episode. The first thing I wrote down here, I wrote down when Dr. Culber and that other guy are, talking about what's happening with Georgiou, and they introduce the hologram of Lieutenant Commander Yor, and who I guess is a time soldier. And the guy tells Dr. Culber that he is from 2379, that he time traveled into the future from 2379. And I wrote, I wrote, wait, what? 2379? That's the Nemesis era. Why is he wearing a TNG Season 1 uniform? Well, it turns out he also crossed universes. He not only traveled forward in time, but he came across from the JJ-verse. Why did they include that? Oh, because they need a plot device, a plot point to explain what's happening to Georgiou, who transferred over to this universe from the Mirror universe. How do we know it's the JJ-verse? Because the guy talks about how the universe was created by an incursion from a Romulan drilling vessel. So, I guess, in that universe, they kept wearing the TNG Season 1 episodes, the TNG Season 1 uniforms, I should say, longer than was done in this universe. Okay, but why? Why did they make that choice? Why couldn't they just put them in the Nemesis era uniforms? I don't understand it. It just drives me insane. Like, that's throwing a wrench into the works for no reason. I don't know. I really don't know. And, they made this guy have a gigantic neck, so he has two yellow lines of piping. One that, separates like the black area from at the top of all the uniforms from the department color part. And then another yellow line of piping that goes around the actual collar, which really stood out in this depiction of this time soldier. And I was like, was that really there in the TNG uniforms? And it turns out if you look back at pictures from, TNG Season 1, they did in fact have two yellow lines of piping, on the uniform. I did not realize that because it was so subtle in the original uniforms from Season 1 that you can't really see it unless you look closely. But in this, it's standing out super bright, and I don't know. It seems ridiculous to get caught on such a small thing, but, it's just visually distracting to have these two bright yellow lines on this guy's costume when I only remember there being one on the original, uniforms from the first season. Anyway, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time that the Kelvin universe has been referenced outside the canon, well, at all on film, but specifically referenced in an episode of Star Trek. So it is now canon that these are two separate universes, and that the events occurring on Discovery are in what they're calling the Prime Universe, which we still don't know is exactly the same universe as the original series, but we do now know that it's not the JJ-verse. They've confirmed that. So take that for what it's worth, I guess. The next thing they start to talk about is how when you are a frequent time traveler, or if you travel through time frequently, to put it another way, you can become very sick. And of course, we never saw that in Star Trek, to my recollection. Although on Voyager, if I'm not mistaken, there was one time when Seven of Nine was jumping through different time periods, and she wasn't doing too well, but it wasn't, anything like what's happening to Georgiou. So, I don't know. I guess they're explaining that by saying that it's because she transferred universes. So now she's getting this crazy, thing where her body is like phasing in and out and going through all kinds of strange transmogrifications, if that's a word. But didn't the Discovery jump 9 months into the future from where they left when they came back from the Mirror Universe in season 1? Because that's my recollection, that they leave at one point, they jump to the Mirror Universe. When they come back, 9 months have passed. So, didn't they jump time and between universes at the same time? And if so, why didn't any of them experience this? Do you have to have jumped through time multiple times? Because I don't think Georgiou did that either. Right? She just jumped time the once. So, this is all muddled, and it's such a MacGuffin. It's just put in there so they can explain what's happening to her. And they wanted to make her sick for some reason. There's some story reason that they want to get to, some point they want to get to with the character, and in order to do that, they said, let's make her sick. And then they had to come up with, well, what is she sick with? And why won't the Discovery crew be able to figure it out right away? So they came up with this MacGuffin. It's so bad. It's just, and it's so obvious that it's a MacGuffin. I thought the dialogue in this scene was stilted and terrible and amateur. It reminded me of how I used to write fanfic when I was in my 20s. It's just such bad dialogue. I can't take it. Then the guy talks about how, well, a Terran's prime thing when they're dying is that they want to die with honor. So she'll go buck wild on your ship if you tell her she's dying. First of all, she kind of already knows that. And second, how simplistic is this writing? Is this character that they've got? Just... You can't tell her she's dying. She'll rip your ship apart. Well, why is the character allowed to roam free on the ship? To begin with, she's a ruthless murderer. The whole idea that she's just been integrated, into the life on the ship, and that she just walks around freely, it has astounded me, and continues to astound me. And Michelle Yeoh's dialogue continues to sound awful. At least in some scenes, I just cannot take her line delivery. It's so bad. She says to Tilly something like, "Oh, I see you haven't managed to kill everyone on the ship yet." That's not how people talk when they're trying to deliver a sassy line. "I see you haven't managed to kill everyone on the ship yet." That's not how you talk. "I see you haven't managed to kill everyone on the ship yet." That's how you would deliver the line. You wouldn't say, "I see that you haven't managed to kill everyone on the ship yet." That's kind of how she delivers her lines, and it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know. They should just get rid of this character. Just get rid of it. I know people love it. I know people want a Section 31 show. Just get rid of her. Let her die. Goodbye. I really hope she does get the Section 31 show, because then I won't watch it, and I never have to see her again because she won't be on Discovery. And I only watch Discovery because I keep hoping it's going to get better. Oh my God. Then there's a scene where the Admiral and Saru, and I think Tilly was there, and Michael are there, and they're talking about, what they're going to do to help her now that the sphere dater has pointed out, well, there's this cure on this planet. And Michael says, well, the sphere data managed to replace databases that we lost in the burn, even from my time. And it's like, why were databases lost in the burn? Like, what? How? How did the burn, which affected dilithium and blew up ships, destroy databases? What Starfleet or Federation database only existed on a ship or in a facility that was powered by dilithium and nowhere else? It's just stupid. Then, I think it's the Admiral who tries to explain to Saru, well, if you just let Georgiou die, the crew will see that you abandon a crew member in their time of need and they'll judge you harshly for it. First of all, she's not a crew member, right? She just lives on the ship. And secondly, most of the crew hates her, one would think. So why would they not just applaud letting her die? I just thought that was the dumbest thing that he said. That was said in that meeting. Aside from the database thing. They're like on an even... ridiculous. And why do they refer to her as the Emperor while we're on the subject of Georgiou? I wouldn't fucking call her that if you paid me, if I were in Starfleet. She's that woman, Georgiou. That's it. I'm not calling her Emperor. I don't care what her title was in the Mirror Universe where she was a brutal tyrant that killed people. I'm not calling her by that. She's lucky I don't call her words I don't want to say in this video. I would just call her, hey, shithead. I wouldn't even call her Georgiou or Philippa. Hey, twat waffle. I mean, I wouldn't even call... She's a ruthless murderer. Yeah, okay, she's come in the clutch once or twice and helped them out, quote unquote, but I don't care. And then Tilly hugs her. She hugs her. I understand Tilly loves everybody and Tilly's trying to be the better person, but really? Why do you care that much? She's a brutal murderer. She threw soup at you. She's always insulting you. I can understand, as a human, you don't necessarily want her to die. You hope she turns out okay. But you don't like her. You shouldn't like her. Why would you hug someone you don't even like? Just because she offered her hand? Like, what's wrong with you? And why they write that stuff in there, it just bothers me. Bothers me. Then Georgiou and Michael are on the planet, and I was thinking, there's a cure on this planet. The database figured out there's some type of way that this condition can be cured, and they'll find it by going to this planet. So I'm thinking they're going to go there, and they're going to have like a tricorder reading that they need to try to find, where they're going to find some kind of a plant or something in the water or a mineral of some kind, something that can be used to make up some kind of an injectable or a consumable or a pool she can bathe in, something that will cure her condition. And, of course, that's not what it ends up being, but worse than that, it's directing them right to this cure or whatever it is, and I guess that makes sense if it's a rock or a mineral or a pool, like I said. But it turns out not to be that. It turns out to be, we don't know what the hell. I just wrote down, what the furry fuck is this? Some guy named Carl just appears in like 19th century clothing with like 20th century furniture in the middle of the snowy tundra on this planet next to a door that doesn't seem to go anywhere, and starts babbling on some kind of nonsense. This is a cure for what's troubling her? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be because they're going to write it that way, but like, how is it a cure? I imagine we're going to get there, but like, why is it only on this planet? Why is it only in that spot on that planet that they had to walk right to a specific spot, as opposed to just finding it when they beam down immediately? Why did they just beam down at the spot where it was? Like, what? I don't. They didn't know what they were looking for. You'd think they know they were looking for. You'd think they would know that it was going to be some weird shit because they weren't being told that it was a mineral or a pool that she could bathe in or a plant they could make into an injectable. You'd think they would have known we're going to find something strange because it's not an object. It's not like a traditional medicinal object that you would find in nature. You know, the way we found cures for everything we've cured here on Earth. It's, again, this writing reminds me of the stupid shit that I wrote when I was writing fan fiction in my 20s. I've written fan fiction more recently, but it's much better. Because I'm not barely out of high school anymore. And that's what this all seems like to me a lot of the time, this show. That it's being written by people who just cannot write beyond the most basic A to B, moment to moment dialogue and plot progression within an episode. It's just so bad. And you know, again, I'm going to talk about how many plots there were in this episode. They've got the Adira plot, which, by the way, I've said before, and I'll say it again, is so after-school special. Like, I don't care. I don't care about that plot. She's a 16-year-old child. I don't care about her plot. I don't care about her problems. I don't care about her love life situation. I don't care. It's an after-school special. I don't want to watch an after-school special. Then they've got the plot with Book. Then they've got the plot, you know, the overarching plot of the burn. And they've got this Georgiou plot, which I also don't care about. I don't care. This character is terrible. I mean, you know, it's as a ruthless emperor murderer, it's good. You know, when you have a ruthless emperor murderer in your story, you want it to be good, and this character is that. You know, but I don't care. She's evil. You know, they try to endear her by saying, well, and you know, she's in another life, don't forget, in another universe, don't forget, she was the other Philippa Georgiou, who was, you know, a good person and a Starfleet captain and, you know, like an adoptive mother to Michael, just like in the Mirror Universe. But it's not that Georgiou, it's this Georgiou. And if they're trying to get to this thing where, you know, she's also the other Georgiou because, you know, in the Mirror Universe, she's just a perverted version of the good Georgiou, and that the good Georgiou is still in there, you know, like Anakin Skywalker was still in Darth Vader, you know. If that's where they're going, can they just get there? Because it's just, they've been dragging it out for 3 seasons now, or 2.5 seasons, and I don't like it. I don't care about this character. I might care if they got there and she were a good character again, but she's evil. And the redemption, if they're heading towards one, is just taking so long. I've lost interest. I don't care. I don't care about this plot. I just don't. I want to say that Tilly looked hot in the Mirror Universe as Captain Killy. She looked amazing. And, you know, I always thought she was attractive. She has put on weight. I think she hasn't seemed as attractive to me this season, but it's mostly because of her hair. I don't like her hair, and I don't know why. I know I shouldn't be talking about the attractiveness of an actress. It's such a misogynistic guy thing to do, but I bring it up because I think she's still attractive. I've always thought she was attractive. I think she looked great as Captain Killy in season 1. I think she still looks great as Captain Killy with the makeup she wears and the uniform and the hair. And I'm bringing it up because I'm a member of several different Star Trek groups and pages on Facebook. And there's a lot of people that don't like Discovery. I'm one of them. But it's not just me. So I run into people who don't like the show a lot, and they really don't like the Tilly character. I have my issues with the character, but I do like the character generally. And they are just going after the actress that plays her so hard for her appearance. They're just mocking her ruthlessly and creating memes that make her look 3 times bigger even than her actual size. And I'm not going to show them here because I think it's gross. And I've said as much to these people, but they think it's funny. They think it's funny to make fun of this woman for her weight by grossly exaggerating it and just poking fun at her for her size, and I don't like it. And so I'm here to say there's nothing wrong with how she looks. And let's not go there. We hate the show. We dislike the show. We dislike aspects of her character. You hate her character completely. Whatever, that's fine. Let's not attack the actress for her physical appearance. If you want to say she can't act, say she can't act. Don't attack her for her physical appearance. It's not cool. But getting back to the plot, they're in the mirror universe where Saru, of course, is a slave. And they have this yet another contrived scene where they make him do something that gets him in trouble with Michael so that they can show Georgiou coming to his rescue, which they're doing to try to show that, hey, since she's been in the Prime Universe and in the company of non-Terrans, she's sort of evolved. She's become a little bit better person. She's more merciful. She's more full of the milk of humankind. Like, I don't care. You're just stretching it out. Get there if you're going there. If you're going to do this redemption arc. You don't want to rush a redemption arc. You want it to take time so that it makes sense. You want to show the evolution, but it's 3 seasons. And you just keep, moving forward in drips and drabs. It's the same notes over and over again. You haven't even really moved forward with her redemption. She's been stuck in the same place for a while. So stop contriving these scenes. Because then there's another scene where she has a conversation with Saru, and she treats him like a slave, but like a person anyway. Why? Why? It's like a soap opera. They have 14 plots going, and they feel a need to try to advance each one of them, and they come up with these contrived moments, these contrived scenes, these contrived paths that they want to send these characters down. It was pointless. I think it's pointless. I don't care. Stop doing that contrived stuff. I don't care about this character. I don't care about her plot. I don't care about next week, because next week is all going to be revolving around this plot again, at least primarily, based on the trailer they released. I don't care. In fact, this is Terra Firma Part 1, right? So next week, one assumes is going to be Terra Firma Part 2. I don't care. Why are you spending 2 episodes on this? It's because they don't have anything to do. They don't know how to write. They don't have their story. It's a 13-episode season. The first couple seasons were 15 episodes. This one's shorter. And they can't even get to 13 without padding it out with this nonsense about Georgiou. I don't care. Nobody cares. This show is such a soap opera. Last week, or the week that Jonathan Frakes directed, I thought, okay, this was a pretty decent episode. But then I knew, and I said in that video, it's not going to be any good next week, because he's going to be gone. Now, he doesn't write the episodes, but I think as a director, he knows what to keep in, what to leave out, and how to make things seem more believable and less contrived. And so the episodes that he directs are just better, even if the writing isn't. And when he's gone, the episodes are terrible. And case in point. This episode was horrible. And, already on the Discovery Facebook page, people who like the show are saying, it was so good. No, it wasn't. It was horrible. A lot of it, again, was like fan fiction I wrote when I was in my 20s and couldn't write well. I didn't know how to flesh out a 1-hour story. So I built it block by block, step by step, in ways that were so obvious that it came off contrived and nonsensical. And that's how a lot of this episode and a lot of Discovery's episodes come off. And can't wait for the Orville to come back. And none of this makes me any more confident that Strange New Worlds is going to be any good. If we ever see it. I'm speechless. This episode was so bad that I can't, I don't know what to say anymore. So I think I'm going to stop talking and get out of here. I'll come back tomorrow or the day after with my review of the next episode of The Mandalorian, and I will be back next week with another review of Discovery after I watch next week's crappy episode based on the trailer. So, my friends, again, peace and long life.